Welcome to this video about the AP Language and Composition exam. For this video, I'm going to be assisted by my AI assistant, Matilda. Matilda, say hello.
Hello, welcome to AP Language and Composition.
Thank you, Matilda.
This course will transform how you read, write, and think critically. Prepare to sharpen your analytical skills and master the art of persuasion. An AP English Language and Composition course cultivates the reading and writing skills that students need for college success and for intellectually responsible civic engagement. The course guides students in becoming flexible, reflective writers of text addressed to diverse audiences for diverse purposes.
In this course, you'll be able to develop 4 main skills. Critical reading, in which you will deconstruct how authors use language to achieve their goals, understanding nuances and underlying messages. Effective writing, in which you will be able to craft clear, persuasive arguments, analysis, and narratives that resonate with your audience. Rhetorical thinking, that will allow you to analyze the dynamic interplay between writer, audience, and context in any communication, as well as evidence integration, that will help you develop the skill to seamlessly incorporate and ethically cite sources to bolster your arguments. What are some of the key skills that you'll develop?
Rhetorical analysis, argumentation, synthesis, effective writing.
Now, if we go to the manual, let me tell you that I printed the whole AP course exam description and I read the more than 100 pages. It's a good read, and all the information that I'm going to share in this video comes from this manual. And I can give you now a synthesis of what the AP Lang and Comp course entails. The course talks about something called big ideas and enduring understandings, and there are 4 that we will be discussing and analyzing throughout the whole school year.
Rhetorical situation.
Individuals write within a particular situation and make strategic writing choices based on that situation.
Claims and evidence.
Writers make claims about subjects, rely on evidence that supports the reasoning that justifies the claim, and often acknowledge or respond to other possible opposing arguments.
Reasoning and organization.
Writers guide understanding of a text's lines of reasoning and claims through that text's organization and integration of evidence. And finally,
Style.
Which means that the rhetorical situation informs the strategic stylistic choices that writers make. So what are some of the essential concepts to master throughout this course? The rhetorical situation is understanding the interplay of audience, purpose, context, exigence, and the writer's role. So as you can see, the rhetorical situation and the context are not the same. The context is part of the rhetorical situation. The rhetorical situation is more than the context. It's the context plus the audience, plus the purpose, plus the exigence, plus the writer's role. The rhetorical appeals, for example, logos, pathos, and ethos, we'll be talking about that, as tools of persuasion. Rhetorical strategies, which means analyzing diction, syntax, imagery, tone, figurative language, and structure. Argument structure, which means building compelling arguments from claim to conclusion, supported by evidence and reasoning. And finally, synthesis skills, effectively summarizing, paraphrasing, integrating, and citing diverse sources.
Mastering these concepts will unlock your ability to analyze complex texts and craft sophisticated arguments.
So now let's talk about the exam itself. The AP Language and Composition exam is divided into 2 main sections. Multiple choice section, where you have about 60 minutes to answer 45 questions, and it's worth 45% of the grade. The free response section, which here we're basically talking about the essays, that it's about 2 hours and 15 minutes. You're going to have 3 types of essays, and that counts for 55% of the grade.
Effective time management is key to success on exam day. Practice under timed conditions.
Now let's take a deeper dive. Part 1, multiple choice with the 45 questions. You're gonna read various nonfiction passages. The questions will assess your ability to identify main ideas, rhetorical strategies, tone, and stylistic choices. One tip for you, skim questions first to focus your reading. Part 2, free response, which is basically, again, where you write your essays. First, you're going to do a synthesis essay. Then you're gonna do a rhetorical analysis essay. And then an argument essay. In the synthesis essay, you're gonna argue using 3 or more provided sources. In the rhetorical analysis, you're going to analyze a writer's choices in a given nonfiction text. And in the argument essay, you're going to support your position on a prompt using your own knowledge and evidence.
Use the initial 15 minutes wisely to read synthesis sources and plan your essay.
You should definitely use the initial 15 minutes to read the synthesis essay sources, which is the very first essay in the section. Some recommendations to succeed. The day of the exam. For the multiple choice section, skim for structure. Annotate key moves and don't linger on tough questions because you'll be just wasting precious time. In the free response section, start with a clear thesis. We're going to be talking about thesis statements a lot. For analysis, link writer's choice to the effect of that choice. For synthesis, argue beyond source summary. They are not asking you to summarize. They know what the texts are about. You have to analyze the information and create your own final text. And for the argument essays, balance evidence with analysis. Always proofread for clarity. Give yourselves a few minutes before you turn it in to check, to proofread what you've written. Practice, general practice for the essay. Read complex non-fiction daily to expand your vocabulary and analytical eye, and that's what we will be doing in this course. Regularly review rhetorical terms to keep them fresh in your mind. Practice writing under timed conditions to build stamina and speed. Study high-scoring sample essays from the College Board to understand expectations. Yes, we'll be looking at some sample essays. Let me give you a quick reference checklist for the test.
Writer's purpose.
Do I understand the author's primary goal in writing this?
Rhetorical strategies.
Can I identify the specific techniques used to achieve that purpose?
Clear thesis.
Have I written a concise thesis that directly answers the prompt?
Evidence plus explanation.
Does each paragraph support my claims with evidence and thorough commentary?
Avoid summary.
Have I gone beyond merely summarizing the text and offered true analysis?
Time management.
Did I effectively pace myself to complete all sections? Now let's suppose that you get your score. The multiple choice section, you have 45 questions that are worth 45%. So you get more or less 1 question, 1 point. For the free response, the essays, it's different because that's 55% of the grade and you have 3 essays. Each essay is graded with a rubric that goes from 1 to 6. So if you get a perfect score in the essay, you will be getting a 6. There are 3 essays, that's 18 points. And those 18 points are 55% of the grade. So each essay is worth 6 points because the AP rubric evaluates the essays like this. The thesis statement, you get 0 or 1. So make sure you have it and make sure it's clearly identifiable in the first paragraph. Evidence and commentary, which is the actual body of the essay, you get from 0 to 4 points, and something called sophistication, which we will talk about later. If you get your thesis and let's say 4 points from in the evidence and commentary section, you will be getting 5 out of 6, which is a very good essay. If on top of that you get the sophistication point, you will be getting 6. An essay with a score of 5 out of 6 is a very good essay.
Your hard work culminates in a final score on a 1 to 5 scale, reflecting your readiness for college-level coursework.
So let me tell you a bit more about the scoring. I hope it's not confusing. There are 45 multiple choice questions worth 40%. And there are 3 essays worth 6 points each. That's 18 points for a section that is 55%. That's roughly 18.3% each essay. Then the score of the multiple choice question section and the essay question is converted into a scale that goes from 0 to 150. For example, let's suppose that you get 35 correct answers in section 1. That's 35 out of 45. You still have a few mistakes, but it's not a bad section. If you get 35 out of 45, it's not so bad. And let's suppose that in the free response section, the essay writing section, let's suppose you get 12 points. That is 4 points per essay. 3 times 4, 12. That will give you roughly 100 points converted in the 0 to 150 scale, 100 points. And those 100 points will grant you a level 3. From 1 to 5 in the overall exam, you will be getting 3. Is that good or bad? Well, let me show you. 3 is what is considered qualified. So even though we don't like to talk about the AP test in terms of passing or failing, it is generally believed that a 3 is like a passing grade. The official name is qualified, no? So if you get 1 point out of 5 in the whole exam, converting everything, that will be a no recommendation. So it's not failing, but it's like, you didn't fulfill the requirements here. Number 2 is like, oh, you know what? You didn't reach the minimum requirements. We're not saying that you're not qualified, but we can't guarantee that you're qualified. If you get a 3, that's qualified. If you get a 4, that's well qualified. That's like getting an A or a B. And if you get a 5, that is called, according to the AP manual, that will be an A. Extremely well qualified, that will be an A. So, if you have a few mistakes in the multiple choice question and you have a very good essay, remember with you get the thesis point, evidence and commentary, you get, let's say, 3 out of 4, you will be getting 4 points out of 6 in the essay. And if you get at least 4 points on each essay, that will give you the 12 points minimum necessary. And then you will get the baseline of 100 out of 150. And that will safely put you on the 3-point final score.
While most private colleges and universities award credit and/or advanced placement for AP scores of 3 or higher, colleges and universities are responsible for setting their own credit and placement policies.
Of course, I don't recommend you to be content with a 3. I recommend you to go and try to get a 4. And yes, why not? A 5 would be even better. Just at the same time, I recommend you not to stress too much about getting a 5. A 5, as you saw the description, is called extremely well qualified. Of course, you can get a 5. Of course, let's go for that 5. But don't feel bad if you don't get the 5. A 4, I think a 4 is a very good score to get. A 3 is like, okay, I passed. But you gotta be careful because, as we saw before, some universities might not be too happy with a 3. I think a 4 is a very good goal. And in the overall test, that would mean getting higher than 100 points out of 150 to safely land in getting a 4. I think that's a very good, realistic goal that puts you a little bit higher than just qualified, and it's not as stressful as trying to push yourself to get a 5, which of course, let's go for that 5, but at the same time, I don't want you to feel excessive pressure because that can hurt your performance. And instead of getting the 5, you might start feeling disillusioned or stressed or under too much pressure. And that's not the point. So these are the generals of the scoring of the test. So having said all this, all we have left is to wish you the best of lucks.
We wish you the best of lucks.
Thank you for watching, and let me know if you have any questions. I made this video first of all reading the course and exam description of the AP Lang and Com course. First of all, then I used Perplexity AI to help me get some main points that could help me as the basis of my script. Then I used Gamma app to help me with the presentation and some of the images that you saw. Then exported the Gamma presentation into a PDF, and I continued working on it using Adobe Acrobat to edit some of the text and to continue working on the presentation, as well as adding some images using Adobe Firefly. Then I edited the whole thing using Adobe Premiere. For the AI assistant, I used 11 Labs to create the voice of Matilda. Let me know what you think of it. Bye-bye.